side. The flip side. Welcome to the flip side, a place where twisted stories come alive. I'm your host, Octavius Blackburn. Tonight we will celebrate Halloween by purging the past, starting anew, and reinventing ourselves. So without further delay, here is Reinvention, Part 1. Yes, healing means forgetting. Healing means forgetting. It means purging the past, starting anew, reinventing oneself. With the beginning of each new chapter in one's life, we must adapt, evolve, and allow yesterday's skin to disintegrate into microscopic particles or risk irrelevance. We do this whenever we start a new career, or when we go from living the single life to a married one, or, what for me was the biggest chapter, when we have children. But no dream lasts forever. Eventually, we are all forced to wake up and deal with reality, the gravity, the tragedy of a given situation. Enter the aftermath, which I deal with by boxing up all of those smiles captured in a moment of time, haunting reminders, fun-filled camping trips, beach vacations. I don't have the heart to discard them by mixing them with the rotten food and plastic bottles in the trash. So I stack them up in boxes and I dig, because I prefer these moments to be buried rather than burned. Next, I pack up all of the toys and clothes and place them in the bed of my pickup, leaving behind her favorites, which comfort her while she sleeps. Then I drive to the first church I find, where I unload the boxes and leave them outside the main entrance. I take solace in knowing that her possessions will be enjoyed by other children through a certain passing of positive energy. But more importantly, they are out of my sight and out of mind, allowing me to forge ahead with the cleansing. While I'm out on the town, I make 2 stops. First, I stop at a department store where I purchase a cream-colored 2-piece suit, a new dress shirt, new underwear, socks and shoes to match. I wear the new clothing out of the store and dump my old clothes into the waste bin on my way out. New clothes make a new man, because there are no memories attached to these threads. And after I trade in my truck at the dealership for a brand new sedan, I'm surrounded by nothing but fresh beginnings. There's one thing left for me to do. I must remove every trace of her. Every article of clothing, the makeup, the jewelry, her electric piano, where she spent hours practicing the classics. Mozart, Beethoven, Chopin. Those were her best friends in life. Not me, not her husband. I go back to the place we called home for the last 8 years and head straight for the kitchen stove. I turn on the gas burners, all 5 of them, and allow the sweet, pungent smell to fill the room. Then I take my leave of the place I've called home for nearly a decade, knowing that the refrigerator's compressor will trigger the final stage of the purge. All of her energy will dissolve here into the ether, along with the possessions from my past. And as I drive away, I don't even risk a glance in the rear view. What is gone is gone. What is done is done. I leave the past to burn into smoldering ash and keep my eyes trained on the road ahead, because the future is now, and it's time to reinvent myself once again.
Healing means forgetting. It means purging the past, starting anew, reinventing oneself. That's what the son of a bitch had whispered in my ear as he'd throttled the life from me. From his wife. I remember awakening to a darkness devoid of everything except the smell of gas. And with my first inhalation, I understood exactly what was happening. It all came rushing back, the sudden slam of something heavy over my head. The marble chopping board? Being dragged towards my daughter's bedroom. Why is she so quiet? And finally, seeing my husband's true handiwork. Elisa, my sweet Elisa, draped backwards over her soft toys with her severed throat yawning wide open in a big, bloody, sleepy smile. Yes, just a smile. That was when he began his damned healing means forgetting spiel, as his hands closed around my throat. There's only so much a human mind can process in such a short space of time. In no longer than 30 seconds, the father of my daughter had pummeled me over the head, dragged me like a bag of coal, and began crushing my windpipe. My daughter. There had been that too. The smile. That big, yawning. Probably shouldn't think about that right now. Anyway, I was frozen into action by this chain of events, and the pink wallpaper eventually faded to black. As I told you, I remember awakening to that sweet sensory cocktail of utter darkness and the smell of gas. That inaction from before I passed out melted in an instant, leaving in its wake a resolve I never knew I had. I guess it had always been there, slumbering, waiting for that moment. The moment when I would piece together like a jigsaw all the warning signs of the past year, all the strange behavior, all those long nights with half the bed left vacant. Was it another woman? A hunger for freedom? A desire for a fresh start? It didn't matter. Whatever was driving my husband, he'd chosen to turn our little life upside down, shake the shit out of it, and make his wife and child disappear. Simple. Just like Elisa's Etch-a-Sketch. Elisa. My assessment of the situation had yielded one single solitary command. Get your daughter and get out. The command made sense. The smell was a gaseous time bomb. This I knew. This Etch-a-Sketch required one final shake, and it was not one Elisa and I wanted to be caught up in. Elisa. I struggled to my feet and groped across the darkened room, the floor seemingly tilting and shifting under my weight. The zigzag ended when my hands met the fur of Rupert, then the trunk of Babar the elephant, followed by the mechanical eyes of Furby, and finally, the gaping, open throat of my only child. I actually poked about the bloody mush for a while, can you believe that? Yes, I really thought my hands had found one of Elisa's usual spilled glasses of milk. Always so clumsy, my little girl. But my investigation had proven the reality to be indeed my daughter slaughtered like a fucking pig. So that's when I carefully raised her up in my arms. How was I to know her head would topple backwards and hang by what seemed to be a single ligament? I dropped it. That abomination that used to be my Elisa. I dropped it like a dead dog because my daughter was gone. She wasn't inside that cold slab of festering meat. No, Elisa was out there somewhere patiently waiting for me, trembling with excitement at the prospect of being taken to the playground for a go on the swings, that grin of hers spread wide, that big, bloody grin, yawning, her throat wide open, so very wide. Best not think about that right now. No, there's more important things to consider, We must discuss what should be done with you. What should be done with you, darling? I still remember the heat of the blast as our family home went up in flames behind me. The fury of that fire, of my daughter's burning carcass, was my fuel in finding you. It took time and patience, but patience is one thing my friends taught me throughout my years of neglect at the hands of an unloving husband. Chopin showed me the power of perseverance, Mozart the strength of will, and Beethoven the resolve that may remain once a part of you has been lost. Through hours, weeks, months, and years perched over my cheap electric piano, decoding their music, I learned all the skills I need to find you, and find you I have. So I say again, what should be done with you? Ah, yes. I must heal you. You see, healing means forgetting. It means purging the past, starting anew, reinventing oneself. As you lie there, broken, crippled, hanging on to life by a thread, allow me to reinvent you as you reinvented our sweet Elisa. She had no one to comfort her as you opened that big, bloody, yawning smile in her throat. But you'll have me, yes. I'll comfort you through your dying breath. Just lay back, try to relax, and listen to my words as I heal you, as I reinvent you.
That's all for this episode. I'd like to give a special thank you to Gavin, Gardiner, and Mai Kil for making this production possible. If you have an insatiable thirst for more horror, check out Gavin's newest creation, The Last Testament of Crichton Smythe, or read his debut novel, For Rye, available on Amazon. Please take care of yourself and each other. This is Octavius Blackburn, signing out. Until next time, catch you on the flip side.